All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth with Ben Jokes. Now, until I finally wash my hands off Nigeria, like many have already done, I'll continue to tell Nigerians what they need to hear, especially those who still view national issues through tribe and religious lenses. While Nigerians were being slaughtered in Benue and Plateau, TINUBU was in France. He ran away from France to London, and after returning to Nigeria, his first public visit was not to Benue or Plateau. He went for a wedding in Katsina State. Yes, he went for an Owambe in Katsina to score a cheap political point with the governor of Katsina towards 2027. Now look at this. Nigerian police, DSS, others heighten security as TINUBU visits Anambra State Thursday. His visit to Anambra is clearly another political move. This one is dead on arrival because even if he rents a room and parlor in all the local governments in Southeast, he is not getting more than 5% in Southeast in 2027. But this shows us all that our lives don't matter to these men. TINUBU will visit everywhere except Benue and Plateau states where Nigerians are being slaughtered. And a few hours ago, two very terribly fake propaganda from Southeast began trending. These two disgraceful info show how despicable, shameless, and dangerous TINUBU and the APC can be. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that, an unbelievable update began circulating. This one shut the entire media space down, and when words got to the streets, the reactions were crazy because it is an absolute betrayal of the people. Nigerians have never witnessed this sort of direct betrayal of the people by any government in the last 50 years. And at this point, I can argue that TINUBU is probably not human because this level of wickedness is just unimaginable. Before I show you details of these top stories and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you these videos. The first video here is from Dele Farotimi. See the video.
Part of my question is whether or not you still believe, although you've said that you do not think that 2027 is up for conversation. No, I mean, the part I'm talking about, Mr. Farotimi, is the part that concerns Mr. Peter Obi. Whether you still think, because at the time,
if
you think it was the best thing to happen to that election.
Today, don't worry. If elections we hold today, you remember, I don't do linguistic inexactitudes. If elections where our vote will count would hold today, I'll vote Peter Gregory Obi, unless somebody else comes into the race that I believe can do better. If it's still the same lineup as the last time, it is definitely Peter Obi that I'm voting. I would hope that he would be a little bolder with his policy platforms, but frankly speaking, in terms of capacity, in terms of integrity, there is nobody else that I would be supporting. Something drastic has to happen for me to decide that I'm not supporting Peter Obi. It might be that he teamed up with some objectionable persons that I cannot stomach, maybe because of some people that he might team up with, and that is a real possibility. But outside of that, if there is nobody else, who am I supposed to vote for Bulaba, or is it Atiku that will now queue behind in 2020 if there were to be an election today? But I actually think that our discussions of election today is actually a disservice to ourselves because we really cannot speak in terms of an election in our current circumstances.
You heard that. Like many Nigerians, Dele Farotimi has no doubt that Peter Obi remains the only option in today's Nigeria. But I have to be honest, I am not very impressed with the silence of Obi and opposition stakeholders on the issue of transmission of results from the polling unit to the INEC IREF portal. For me, that is as important as getting the most votes. We got the most votes in the last election, but their INEC declared something else, and their judiciary affirmed it. So what steps are we taking towards preventing that from happening again? We should be pushing for electoral reforms as regards the electronic transfer of results more than anything. Electronic transfer of results is already in INEC's electoral guideline. The push now is to get it signed into law so that it becomes a must, because when it is in their guideline, they'll tell you they can decide to overlook it. That was what they said the last time. When you talk about protesting to fix Nigeria, pushing to get electronic transfer into law using heavy protest is perhaps the most important protest you can think of. When you talk about protesting to fix Nigeria, that will be a protest that even the democratic governments of other countries will back. A protest to ensure transparent electoral process in Nigeria. That is the kind of move I expect from the opposition. Next video here is for comic relief. The EFCC chairman was just joking in this video, in my opinion. Check it out.
To members who perhaps are not people who are perhaps are not members of the political party or the ruling party rather, will be unfair to us and will be an injustice on our part. And I need to say this to Nigerians with every sense of humility. My mandate is, if I discover you have stolen money, you will have questions to answer. Whether you are of APC, or you are of PDP, or you are of Labour Party, or you are of NPP, or you are of SDP, if a member of APC has stolen money, you will have case to answer. If a member of PDP has stolen money, it's like sandpaper, it won't digest in your tummy. You will have case to answer. So irrespective of your political affiliation or alienation, it is our duty to make sure that we do the right thing.
You heard that. If we don't remember any case of corruption that was fumbled by the EFCC again, at least we remember the one that happened recently with Yahaya Bello, where this same man said he was going to resign if he does not jail Yahaya Bello. Today, Bello is walking free. What they are doing in court is just a charade. Yet he sits down there to tell us that whoever you are, if you steal money, you will be brought to book. Which book? And they said this man is a pastor. He sat there saying things that he, Sheun Okinbaloye, the cameraman, and the entire nation knows are lies. Well, let me not call his words lies. Let me stick to calling them comic punchlines aimed at entertaining Nigerians at a time when depression has almost enveloped the nation. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that attempt by TINUBU's family and boys to blackmail the Southeast. And next is that announcement that completely turned the media space and the streets of Nigeria upside down. Let's start by taking those updates intended to blackmail the Southeast. Look at how the papers reported it. The first one here says, the Southeast Youth Stakeholders Council has issued a 48-hour ultimatum to the factional president of NANS, Atiku Issa, demanding a public apology for what they describe as persistent blackmail and misinformation against Sheyi Tinubu. Now, this invariably means that the Southeast is throwing support for Sheyi Tinubu. We know that that is not possible. Can you just imagine that? The plot to get the Southeast to support Tinubu is one of the most stupid plots ever. Bart is a poor student of history because he of all people should know that the Southeast does not vote terrible candidates in elections. And certainly, the region can never back Sheyi Tinubu's shameful character, shameful display at NANS. So, what are they on about? And next is this one from Tinubu's errand boy, Ben Kalu. Look at it. Igbo will give Tinubu over 70% vote in 2027, Deputy Speaker Kalu. Wait, are these politicians this stupid? Is Tinubu not supposed to know that this guy is just deceiving him? Southeast gave Tinubu only 5% of their votes when he had not played an active part in destroying the economy of this country. Is it now that he has completely turned the economy on his head that they will now give him 70% of their votes? He should know better. Kalu will just collect his money and whatever favor he wants to curry, but he cannot deliver anything for him from the Southeast. That is sure. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that announcement that turned the nation upside down began making the rounds. Less than 2 weeks after taking themselves off the national grid and budgeting 10 billion naira for a mini solar grid, TINUBU and the Minister of Power told Nigerians to get set for yet another increase in electricity tariffs. Look at how the papers reported it. Electricity subsidy has to go. Nigerians prepare to pay higher tariffs. Adelabu, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, on Sunday said a meeting has been scheduled between Bola Tinubu and the leadership of the power generation companies, GENCOs, over a 4 trillion debt, warning Nigerians to prepare to pay higher electricity tariffs once subsidy is removed in the power sector. Mr. Adelabu assured that the federal government would immediately pay a significant portion of the debt, while the balance will be settled using financial instruments such as promissory notes within 6 months. He warned of an impending collapse in the sector if swift interventions are not made. We recognize the urgency of this matter. The government is committed to resolving this debt to stabilize the sector and prevent further crisis, Mr. Adelabu said. He emphasized the need for full liberalization of the power sector and called for the adoption of cost-reflective tariffs. Citizens must pay the appropriate price for the energy consumed. And Nigeria Stories reports it this way. It says, just in, Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu has said that the country's economy can no longer afford to maintain electricity subsidies. He advised Nigerians to prepare for the introduction of tariffs that reflect the true cost of electricity. Now, if we are saying we want to introduce tariffs that reflect the true cost of electricity, I will not be angry, because what you are giving me is 1 hour 30 minutes in a day. Sometimes you give me 15 minutes in a day. So give me the cost of the 15 minutes that you are giving me. Already people are paying through their noses for darkness. People that are not metered, houses that are not metered. The estimated bills, they are just brought randomly, erratically from PHCN. They don't care. You will see a shop that has just a POS shop that has just one fan and charging spots for the POS. They are bringing 15,000 naira. And you are still saying they should get set to pay more. What a disaster. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. This tweet here by Eric the Great says, how can government remove fuel subsidy, electricity subsidy, and forex subsidy at the same time in a country with one of the highest rates of poverty? Now they want to increase tariffs again after disconnecting themselves from the national grid and going for solar. This is the betrayal. You detached your own self from the national grid. You are now using solar. And just about 2 weeks after that announcement, you say you are going to increase electricity tariffs. This shows absolutely no pity, no regard for the people. And this tweet here by Tosin says, I am waiting for Bayo Ononuga to defend this action as he always does. Pure cruelty to the masses, and it will be resisted. Haba, how many electricity tariff increase since APC came to power? Well, if Nigerians decide to resist it, it is better for them. But if they keep quiet again and say Nigerians go bear them now, anyhow they treat us, we can bear it. Let us continue. But people are committing suicides daily. Yes, that is the reality. Osage here says, these so-called master strategists will strategically impoverish you all even further while living lavishly and telling you to manage. This is the same man who enthroned Buhari. APC has proven to be worse than PDP, as all indicators show. That is it. This nation was doing well under Jonathan until Tinubu teamed up with Buhari to form the evil cult called the APC. Everything has been falling apart since then. North, South, East, and West, no region has had peace. We fell from being the fastest growing economy in the world to the poverty capital of the world under Buhari. And now we are even worse. I wonder what they would designate Nigeria as now, if they are to say. There is no aspect of our being as a nation that is not worse off today than it was 2 years ago. Out of school children numbers, unemployment numbers, inflation numbers, everything just absolutely falling apart. But I am not surprised. This is the APC. They have come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And I keep telling Nigerians that it can never get any better because this is their agenda and they will continue to make sure that it persists. Things will continue to get worse. It will never get better. When Nigerians are tired, if Nigerians want to have a country that they can be proud of, and I keep saying that if we even want to have a country at all in the near future, we must be able to come together, keep our sentiments aside, and get the APC out of power. But until then, make I still enter town, make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Now I dey here, so don't go away. Don't go.